Alrighty, my friends. So let's see what what is the state of our function right now. The state of our function is very bare bones still. Okay, if you put in a number and you check me, the only thing you still get is too low. But we're gonna change that very soon. Okay, let's look at our to-do number 5, and that says complete the show you won, show number above, and the show number below functions. Let's take a look at where those are. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. More. There we go. Show you won, show number above, and show number below. Now, what these functions do is, remember how when you go ahead and you click check me, it says, hey, your number is too high, your number is too low, or you won, you got the correct number. And so these functions, correlate to that. What they do is they get that element or that content for, let me just show you. They are, I'm going to show you right now. So if you type in 5, this content, this blue component, this element, this is what these functions return. Obviously, this one returns if you want it. This one returns if it's too high. This one returns if it's too low. And what I want you to do, okay, is to create, is to return the dialog, is to complete these 3 functions. Now, read this out. Let's see. Retrieve the dialog using the get dialog function and save it to a variable called dialog. Hint, use one and text parameters. All right, let's take a look at that. The get dialog function, don't get overwhelmed by this. We put this in, it's very important. But basically what happens here is that we are retrieving a certain dialog, a certain element, based on if it's a if it's a correct one, or if it's a correct one, which in this case if you won, or if it's simply a warning, whereby we're simply warning you, hey, your guess is too low, your guess is too high. Okay, so that simply returns a different type, a different color, shall I say. All right, so just keep it at that. That's why the switch casement is here. It's kind of like, it's almost as an if-else statement. If this dialog type is a warning, return this, alert warning, right? If the dialog type is 1, return alert success, right? That's why, when you get the number correct, you have the this green element, okay? So just keep that in mind. It's an HTML element. So we need to use this function, and if you take a look at it, it has 2 parameters that it takes in. One is called dialog type, which obviously is really important, and the other one is called text. And the reason why we did the text, because the text is this is your guess is too low, right? That's what the text is, and so it needs to use that text in order to complete this element. All right, now with that in mind, I want you to use this function, use the right parameters, right? For example, for this one, this awesome job got it. But I'll go ahead and actually, I'm going to help you on the first one. Let's say, I'm going to say let dialog equals, okay, because we're using this dialog in here. Let dialog equals get dialog, and we're going to pass in 1 because we have 1, and because that's, that's what we're looking for. And I'm going to pass in the text, which is this text right here. Okay. All right. And, oh, sorry. And then what happens is that we're replacing the content in here with this one function. Now, I want you to do the same thing, but I want you to do the same thing for these other 2 ones. Show number above or show number below. Just keep in mind the parameters, okay? So do that and then come back. Awesome. So let's see what we're going to do here. So for the show number above, this is going to be the same thing. Let dialog equals get dialog. And this time we're going to pass in a warning, because this is just a warning, not so much, a success, that we won, that, not so much, yeah, you got it. But it's just a warning. So warning in the text is the one here, which is your guess is too high. And so we're going to pass, oh, no, not here. Text. There we go. Awesome. Okay, and then the same thing gonna be for here. For the show number below, we're gonna do the same thing. I'm actually just gonna copy this, because literally it's also a warning, and so it's gonna use the same function. It's gonna use the same parameters. And what we're doing here is we're going to replace the HTML part in here. but I want you to see something in the back end, okay? Let's go ahead, and I'm gonna call this function show you one. Remember, inside the unload. So basically, when this page loads, we're gonna call show you one, just so you can see what I'm talking about, okay? And inside show you one, I'm actually gonna console log what this dialog is. So it's not, so you don't know, you know, so you kind of know what's going on inside console log. I think it's always important to know that, you know, so you know there's no magic going on here, you know, like there is sometimes. Okay, so refresh this. Awesome. So that's, you know, you got it. Awesome job, you got it. But, you know, again, it's because we just called it right here. And if you look at the console, okay, look at the console. So we have a div. A div is an element, just simply a container. You know, it has alert success, and it got that from here. Okay, so if we scroll down, you know, alert success, right? So div alert success role alerts. That's where you got that from. Awesome job, you got it. That's the text. So we appended the text to here, to this dialog. Think of it as a string. We append the text, and that's there. And then we close this div with a closing tag. I'm gonna close this here with a closing tag, okay? And that's where you have the closing tag here. And so really all it is simply an HTML element that you're putting on the front page, right? On the front page. That's why when you do document that get element by ID, that inner HTML, which what it does is it replaces the inner HTML. Oops, sorry, hold on. Come on, let's go. Yeah, replace the inner HTML of this element. Now, you might be asking now, Nazari, how the heck, like, how does it know? What is this? Right? Where is this? How does it know to put it here? Well, I can just put it like in here, right? Well, if you look at it, if you look at index HTML, you see we have a div that's pretty much empty. It has nothing inside of it, but it has ID result. Okay, has ID result. And so what we're doing is we're calling this ID. Okay, we're using this ID, this div element ID, this unique identifier. And we're saying, okay, get the element, get the div, and make the inner HTML of it this dialog, right? All this dialog to here, make that be the inner HTML. And literally that's how you interact with content on the front page. Now, there's many ways you can do it, but we're gonna cover just using the inner HTML. With that in mind, we finished up these functions. These functions should work well. If you want to just check them yourself, you can go ahead and you know, do show you one, show the number above, show number below inside this window unload, and see if they come up here. But they will. So awesome. In that case, we're getting closer, guys. We finished number 5, and we're moving on to number 6.